Hello, everyone. My name is Amit Ganjoo, and I'm the founder and CEO of Andra Technologies. It's a pleasure talking to you all today during this Skyscraper event put together by Veron Vehicles. First of all, thanks to Felipe for extending the invitation to speak with you all today. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about us, my personal background, our company, and our engagements in the advanced air mobility space and our legacy and our vision as such as we see this industry, young nascent industry evolving. So as a company, we are 5 years old. We were incorporated in 2015, headquartered out of Washington, DC. We have additional offices in Europe and London, as well as in Asia. In terms of our customer engagements, we have engagements, as you can see from the slide out here, pretty much all around the globe, ranging from North America to Europe to Asia. We are looking forward to our expansion into South America, hopefully, including working in partnership with collaborators such as Veron and others in South American marketplace as well. We are a company that has been engaged in the airspace management UTM from inception. In fact, we are the only company that has the privilege of being engaged with NASA in all their national campaigns for UTM, ranging from TCL1 through TCL4. In addition to that, we have been engaged with FAA in all the integration pilot projects and UTM pilot projects, as well as other BAs. We are an approved land airspace provider in the US as well. In addition to that, for the NASA Urban Air Mobility Campaign, and now what's called Advanced Air Mobility Campaign, we are the airspace provider for that as part of the current X3 and moving on X4 programs as well. Moving across the pond into Europe, we've been engaged in the European marketplace, especially in UK, since 2018, working on open access UTM framework dev work along with Department for Transportation, CAA, and Catapult Systems there. In addition to that, we are engaged in the Future of Flight initiative and some other BV loss initiatives focused on small UAS as well as on urban air mobility vehicles and mid to large scale airframe. We are also engaged with some CESAR activities and other activities in Europe as well. Now, moving over to Asia, we have the distinction of being engaged in the deployment of the first of its kind nationwide UTM deployment for the country of India. In addition to that, we are also running some BV loss delivery operations for food and medical delivery in 2 different cities in India. I didn't forget to mention our engagement in Switzerland. We've been engaged there since last year as part of with Swiss FOCA, and coming over the next few weeks, we'll be deploying a nationwide operational remote identification system there as well. In addition to all these engagements, these are the ones that we talk about publicly. There are others, obviously, as you can imagine, that we're not allowed to talk about right now. In addition to that, we come at this industry from inside out versus someone coming from outside in. I am on the board for Global UTM Association. I also am part of the ICAO Trust Framework Working Group. I co-chair the ASTM F38 UTM Standards Working Group. And we have members on the team which are on the board for AUESI and sitting on the FCC DAC working groups and so on and so forth. So the reason I mentioned that is because what happens is everyone gets excited when you talk about drones and urban air mobility and stuff like that. But a lot of the people come at it from outside in trying to enter this space. We grew up in this industry, so this is something very near and dear to our heart. Our team brings to bear like many decades of aviation, communication, and robotics experience. I personally used to be I'm a pilot, built experimental aircraft, used to work for the Department of Defense on drone and communications programs. And we have people on the team who have helped build some of the biggest military drone programs in the world and come with decades of thousands of hours of manned aviation experience. Now, if we talk about airspace management, there's a lot of buzz around these small UAS and small drones flying around, but as things evolve, as we move towards the next generation and the next few years, we transition from these small, low altitude aircraft to something that's going to fly in mixed use airspace and carry cargo, carry potentially humans around the cities, around suburbs, and it may be within a short distance as well if the need arises to alleviate traffic congestion in many cases. So our traditional airports that we know of are going to change. We are going to have highways in the sky instead of these highways in the row on the road. So we move from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions, and in some cases to 4 dimensions, deconflicting these highways in space and time. So the vehicles of the future are not going to have wheels. They're going to sit back on their back and be electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, which help you zip and zoom between rooftops or take off from your driveway or a parking lot or the likes. But to make all this a reality, if you look at our current manned air traffic right now, our manned air traffic, give or take, there are around 10,000 manned aircraft in the sky at a given time. But when you come into the unmanned space, there'll be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of them in the sky in the mid to long-term future. So the current system, having a human in the loop while doing the air traffic management, does not scale. You need a more automated, self-driven system with human on the loop paradigm to manage that kind of traffic. And to make all this, and just like we have rules of the road for driving on the streets, you need rules of the road when you create these virtual highways in the sky. And we need procedures and protocols in place which ensure that an air taxi, ride-sharing air taxi does not bump into a drone carrying a package from Amazon Prime Air or someone else doing an inspection mission. How do you deconflict them in space and time? And if an off phenomenon happens, if something happens, how do you notify the right relevant stakeholders? Here's our vision, how we see this whole space evolving. From an airspace management point of view, in a crawl, walk, run space. We are in the crawl space right now. And if you look at it, you have a UTM system, which is managing the small UAS aircraft on the top. And if you look at the bottom left, you see air traffic control, ATC, which is managing your legacy manned traffic, general aviation or commercial aviation traffic. And then you're going to have a combination of air traffic control and a UTM system that's going to manage your UAM traffic or advanced air mobility traffic or flying cars, whatever you wish to call it. Because in the early phases, all of them are going to probably fly, either be optionally piloted or fly under VFR or IFR rules in the same airspace as other manned traffic. Now, as you transition from crawl into the walk phase, you move into, we see what we call UAM plus, which is a combination of UTM evolving to handle all unmanned traffic, not just small UAS. So, and decoupling the requirement for a deep integration of a UAM traffic into the ATC system. And in the run phase, probably 10, 15, 20 years from now, the air traffic management, as we know, won't exist. It'll be a new form of air traffic management, which will be an evolution of your today's ATC and what we are calling UAM plus in the walk phase. So what do we do as a company? So as you know, for all this advanced air mobility to become a reality, you have different aspects of it. And I know there have been sessions in Skyscraper that are going to touch on the different aspects, whether that's infrastructure, whether that's the aircraft, whether that's the airspace management or the surveillance infrastructure, whatever it is that's needed to make all this a reality. What we focus on, we have 2 distinct verticals in our company. One focused on mission management, which is designed more for UAS and enterprise integration of unmanned assets into the existing workflows of the enterprise, which may involve flight orchestration, data capture, data analytics, and the likes. And then we have something called our Smart Sky CTR aspects, which is more focused purely on airspace management for drones and moving on to urban air mobility, advanced air mobility. This is the same platform that's getting used by NASA for advanced air mobility and is deployed pretty much all around the globe right now. So this system in addition to this, this system is highly modular and it has logical components. So it will, in addition to doing this standard airspace management, we also, as a company, have capability to look at multimodal aspects, which tie in very nicely with advanced air mobility, where you may have autonomous ground and air segments working together. So system lets you orchestrate that. It lets you simulate. So we all realize, yes, advanced air mobility will be a reality. Jetsons is going to become a reality uh, in our lifetime. But before we get there and start flying these aircraft at scale, you need to have a big simulation aspect of it. So we have advanced simulation capabilities, which let you simulate with 6 degrees of freedom the aircraft performance and simulate it in a real world, whether you're doing approach departures at a vertiport or the likes, and how do you integrate into the airspace and the vertiport management systems. So we have that simulation capability as well. Then we have something called delivery, which is focused on whether it's small package or cargo delivery, everything from vendor management, customer management, operation, order fulfillment to actual tracking of the drone and deconflicting and filing flight plans during the course of the action. And those are some of the capabilities. We have other capabilities like Fusion, but I'm not going to kind of go into all those details, but I think you guys get an idea in terms of the breadth of our capability. Peeling one more layer off, especially in the airspace management or this Smart Sky CTR system, you can see there are different logical components, and you pretty much, if you read through it, you'll see these are all needed for your advanced air mobility to become a reality, whether it's deals with the registration of the aircraft or remote identification, your flight planning capability, your geofencing, caging capability, or tracking and traffic monitoring. There's not just tracking the cooperative, but the non-cooperative as well, pulling in your aeronautical information like your airspace, weather, restrictions, surveillance data, and how do you handle emergencies? And one of the key things as we move into advanced air mobility, airspace capacity management, as you inject more and more aircraft into the same airspace, because airspace is a finite resource. How does it react, and how do you optimize the use of airspace? Your interfaces into the ATC, incident reporting, separation assurance, and so on and so forth. So all these capabilities in our system was designed from ground up as a microservices-based architecture, which lets us plug and play and add and replace services based on the deployment scenario. For example, something that may work in Europe may not work in South America or may not work in North America. So how can you tweak and add and remove these microservices based on the requirements for each geographic region? Here's another view to see how a logical system might actually plug in for AM or urban air mobility deployment, where you have a UTM system and you have private aircraft and fleet aircraft. And I know Felipe loves a personal flying car, so private aircraft could plug in here as well. And you have some of these modules, like whether if someone filed a flight plan and said, I'm going to fly in this highway in the sky, the conformance manager will monitor it for their conformance to their trajectory in that flight, virtual highway in the sky. And if they go out of that highway, how do we raise an alert or a notification, and how do we notify only the relevant stakeholders? So if an operation goes non-conformant in San Francisco, I don't need to necessarily notify someone in New York. And how do we take corrective actions? Then pulling in surveillance sources like radar and other sensors, injecting constraints in the system. And if someone is flying from point A to B and someone is flying from point C to D, and their flight plans crisscross each other in space and time, how do you deconflict them? And then on the right-hand side, what you see here at the top is integration into your enterprise system. So this would be your vertiport systems, your passenger management systems, which handle the operational support, fulfillment, and execution. So this is how the system would actually get integrated into the enterprise side as you move into the advanced air mobility world as well. That's kind of the high-level view of where we stand as a company and what we do. Hopefully this was useful for you all to understand, and there's a contact information for us. Please feel free to reach out to us, and we look forward to hopefully collaborating with many of you as things evolve down in South America. Thank you.